Hey, today was a good day. I saw Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, and I had the first McRib of the season.
Yeah. It's a good day.
It's fucking A, that's a good day. I was watching some TV earlier. They were like, fuck, McRib is back. One part of me is like, sweet, McRib's back. The other part of me is like, fuck, now I have all these Monopoly pieces that are worthless.
The two things from McDonald's I really look forward to, like the Monopoly game this year was only like 2 fucking weeks though.
It seems like that went by like really quick.
No, it was like it was less than a fucking month, I think.
Well, they were giving away like it looks so sad on my table at home because it looks like I went to McDonald's more than I did because I have a lot of pieces. But they give you, like, depending on what you get, they give you, like, 6 pieces. So it looks like I went there 50 times. But McRib's back and went to go see Psycho.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if they started showing the Gus Van Sant version?
It's on Netflix right now. I'm seriously considering watching it tomorrow. Just to fucking, like... Because my brain's going... Yeah, I haven't watched that in a really long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since 98, I think that came out.
Yeah, and I remember it being terrible.
Yeah, dude, if they like accidentally started showing that, I would have leaned over to I guarantee you someone in this audience would have said something, but I probably would have leaned over to Dave and been like, let's play this out.
I would have started laughing manically. That would have been great.
I would have known right away because in that version, it's still got the same style of opening credit sequence, but since that's not a black and white movie, it's green. I had to see that twice in the theater when it came out. I went to go see it like probably the night it opened because I was curious. I was curious to see it.
We were all curious.
Oh yeah,
guy who made Good Will Hunting's doing Psycho with the dude from Swingers. All right,
right on. Let's see how this plays out. I went to go see it. Like, that was an interesting experiment. Don't need to do that again.
Yeah.
And then I was on a date with somebody who really wanted to see it. Like 2 days later, and I had to watch it again. Like 2 days later. Fuck.
I loved Gus Van Sant's reasoning for making that movie to this
Which is
day.
such a bullshit reason.
I only made it so no one else would do it.
Oh, fuck off! Fuck off with that shit. It's like, okay, it's an interesting experiment in that you look at it and you're like, see, here's what would happen if Psycho was miscast and people spoke with different inflections that really kind of changed their character a bit, even though it's like 90% shot the same way, same script, same soundtrack and stuff like that. Like, okay, yeah, you watch them side by side, it's interesting, but it's a pointless experiment because fucking duh. Yeah. It's like, I wonder what would happen if Casablanca was remade shot for shot with Pauly Shore. Like, I wonder. It would suck. We already have the Psychos. The Psycho sequels are better than that movie. I kind of like those movies. 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. I like the show, Bates Motel. I kind of got into that last year a little bit and surprisingly found it really enjoyable. Because they do other stuff. It's not like shot for shot and shit like that. When did you first see this? 2 hours ago.
Yeah. That was the first time ever. No. Probably 20 years or more ago. I mean, because, I remember as a kid, the Hitchcock stuff was always on TV. But,
I rented it.
Yeah, I think it was... I think the first time I actually sat down and watched that movie was probably early high school. Like, the first time I really paid attention to it, maybe.
It would have been before that for me, because the first one that I saw was Psycho 4, the beginning, because it premiered on, like, Showtime, and I had Showtime as a kid. So that movie was, like, straight to Showtime, and I watched it. So, yeah, it wasn't like I was really necessarily planning on watching it. It just happened to be on that night, so I watched it. And I kind of liked it. But honestly, chronologically, it sort of works out, because that movie's a prequel. So, yeah. It totally ruins the twist of the Hitchcock one. And then not long after that, I rented, like, the rest of them, 1, 2, and 3. Because our video store had, like, the first 3. And We got to find out that at the very end of this that this is rated R.
For no reason.
You know how the Gus Van Sant one's rated R, but that's because they add in the masturbation scene in that movie. And you see and there's nudity in the shower scene because you see Anahasia's asshole. You do. You totally do.
Yeah.
Fuck. But at the very end of this, which actually I kind of remember the VHS for this saying rated R on the back of it, actually when they introduced the rating system and then went back and re-rated things. There's no way this would get an R rating today, but
no, this would barely get a PG-13.
Oh, it would definitely get a PG-13. I can't see it getting an R.
No, because it doesn't have any language really.
No
real nudity. There's implied nudity, but it doesn't show anything. The violence is, it's there, but it doesn't actually show anything overly violent. It's like in the same way, the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's all implied violence,
Yeah.
You don't see anything overly graphic, but you think you did.
Well, the Chainsaw Massacre, though, even though there is implied violence, that's definitely an R.
Oh, yeah.
Just for sheer intensity alone, that's an R.
Still one of the scariest movies ever made.
Lord, yeah. But at the very end of this, you know how if you stay after the ending credits, it'll have the MPAA rating on there with the blue screen and everything. That's what it did, because there's no ending credits of this movie. It just says the end, so it didn't just rated R. Woo! My stars. How do you think it holds up?
I think it. As I was saying when we walked out of the theater, it's one of those movies that, like a lot of movies from that era, and even later, things like Halloween and stuff, you don't think about it much anymore. And watching this movie, I thought it was really fun watching it in the theater because, watching Psycho in a theater was great.
Mm-hmm.
It's not often you get opportunities to do stuff like that. So it was great to go do it. But it's one of those things that if this movie came out today, and it wasn't a remake or anything, this movie came out today with the same acting, same everything, I'd be ripping it a new asshole.
I don't think I would, because I still think that this movie, by and large, still succeeds at its intended purpose. It
does that, but I'd be making fun of a lot of the acting. I'd be
the boyfriend. Yeah. The boyfriend, certainly.
There's some stuff, though, that I'd still... Direction's great. Cinematography's solid.
The
soundtrack's amazing. The soundtrack's half the fucking movie.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous. Especially hearing that in a theater is amazing.
Yeah. No, there's some things I love about it. There's a lot of things I probably wouldn't like. But at the same time, it wasn't made. It was made what?
1960.
God, so fucking... almost 55 years ago.
Yeah.
And for what, I really, really don't care for most movies from that era. I really don't. And this one, it was a joy to watch it in the theater.
I like Hitchcock movies in general. Between this and some of my other favorites would be Lifeboat and Frenzy and stuff like that. But
I'm a big fan of Rear Window.
Oh, Rear Window. Family Plot's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Vertigo, Rope, stuff like that. Yeah.
The Hitchcock movies are some of the few that, to me, are still very, very watchable from that era. Because, in all honesty, a lot of the classics I just don't fucking care for. The movies from that era that I find fun to watch are the fucking B movies,
Oh, yeah.
The fucking...
We're going into the 1960s, throwing some Ursula Gordon-Lewis movies, my friend.
Oh,
you're in and out in an hour.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
Well, I remember we were talking on the way over, and I was mentioning, I could have sent you to, Gone with the Wind that got a re-release, a few weeks ago.
I fucking hate that movie. I hate Casablanca.
I'll stick up for Casablanca. I'll totally give you Gone with the Wind.
I
didn't even bring up Gone with the Wind to anybody, because I was like, that's an 18-hour movie. Who am I gonna...
A lot of those big movies from this era... Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, fucking... And Casablanca was even before this.
Oh, so was Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind's like 39. Casablanca's 42? 41?
Something, yeah. But
whatever, it's old. It's all the same.
Old. I just don't care for him. A lot of the... It's one of those things that I understand why it was that way. A lot of the acting, it's very theatrical and arms moving and pointing. Like the guy who's the psychiatrist at the end of Psycho.
Oh, that scene.
Yeah, that guy, like, I get the scene.
I'm not a fan of that scene.
No, it's not a great scene. It'd be much better in a courtroom. You know?
Maybe, like, my problem with that scene...
But it's unnecessary.
It's explaining to you everything you already know. Like, if it's like, in case you're stupid and you didn't realize what just happened, let's explain everything to you.
But when the movie was made, I get why it would be there.
I guess.
Yeah. But that guy with his pointing and...
With his, yeah.
You know, all of that shit, like... You know, and
the boyfriend has that 1960s style delivery and acting. Like, I could be a supporting character in a John Wayne movie, or I could be the handsome teacher from a Walt Disney film. You know, like that. Like if Mad Men was made in '60, that would be Don Draper.
Yeah, probably. A lot of that kind of stuff, it's just like, to me, that's kind of painful. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying. It usually doesn't bother me to a degree, because, like, I still like popping in an old movie, too. Like, but, I mean, like, an old movie that I usually pop in is something that still fits the kind of genre that I like, whether it's, like, a spaghetti western, some John Wayne movies, or like a Mario Bava film or something like that, you know, or Dracula, for the 30s Dracula, you know, stuff like Universal Monster movies.
The Universal Monster movies, I think, stand on their own as something completely different. I love watching those, but at the same time, I know they weren't considered B movies at the time. To me, they have that B movie feel.
I think even this movie right here has a lot of, and this is something I was picking up on too, watching it on the big screen too, was it was kind of funny to like, or not funny, but I mean it was fun to actually kind of compare it to like a Universal Monster movie, because the scenes of the house, which watching it on a big screen is fantastic, like with the clouds in the background, it looks like Transylvania. It looks like a Dracula's castle, you know?
Well, and that's what I think is so cool about watching movies like this on the big screen. Like when we went and saw Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, it's some of those details you just don't fucking see on your TV. It doesn't matter how good your TV is or what Blu-ray player or whatever you have, you just don't see
Blu-ray can be distracting.
You don't see some of that shit. There was so much stuff in Reservoir Dogs, a movie I've seen so many times, that I had never noticed before because it wasn't on a fucking big screen.
Sometimes it's not exactly, sometimes it can be sort of a negative thing. Like you'll tend to notice like the ADR a little bit more. Although I was noticing ADR way more in some of the 70s re-releases we went to go see as opposed to this one. I mean, some in this here and there. Like
the ADR when we saw Dirty Harry was awful. It was awful.
Yeah, when we went to go see Harry, and in this a little bit, like when here and there, but like honestly in this no more than you usually will see nowadays. But like so. The few times that happened in this, it was really obvious. Like when she first comes to the hotel and he comes out and says his first couple of lines and his mouth is not moving. But whatever. Like you'll even see something like that nowadays. But there are performances in this movie. I think that like, in terms of the movie being, I mean, it dated, I mean, in the sense that of course you can tell this is a movie from 1960, but in that you can pretty much tell usually when anything is made, but I don't think it's negatively dated, because I think, like I said,
I think it's dated in a really charming way that makes it kind of, you know.
In terms of a couple of the performances in the movie, I mean, we talked about the boyfriend, but by and large, I think it's still. I mean, you kind of picture, like, an audience in 1960 watching this. This had to be really fucking shocking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, holy shit. Hell, I've even watched this movie before when I was younger and would watch this movie quite a bit. I would watch this movie before with people who had never seen it before, and they would still jump. They would still jump out of their fucking seats. It's amazing how many people who don't... well, at least back then, when I was a teenager and I would show this to people, it was amazing how many people, like, didn't A, didn't know the twist, and B, still did not see it coming.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies that is so deep into the pop culture lexicon that it's there's nothing about it surprising. Like, if you watch anything really anymore, like,
I mean, I would imagine, like, say that I didn't know, because when I saw this movie as a kid, I knew what the twist was going in, because I saw Psycho 4 first.
But as a kid, the first time I saw it, like, I knew about the shower scene. I didn't know about the twist the first time I really watched the movie,
Yeah, I did, and I imagine, like, I don't know if I could have produced, if I watching it when I did as a kid, the age that I was, I don't know if I would have sat there and been like, oh, it's him, or like, oh, he's his mother, or something like that. Like, if the movie came out now, well, yeah, certainly, because several movies have done that, but back then, I don't know. I don't know if I would have or not, but for people who don't know much about this, I mean, that's still a twist, and I think that one of the main reasons that makes it, I think, an effective twist for those people who it did surprise, whether it's in 1960 or if you've never heard of Norman Bates before, is Anthony Perkins' performance in this movie, which totally holds up. No, which 1000% holds up.
Yeah, he's great. There was one shot in the movie that still gives me chills. It's the second time he's dumping a car in the swamp.
Oh, God!
And he hears the guy calling, and he just kind of turns.
You see his fucking eyes?
Shadows,
oh, shit.
It's one of the creepiest shots in movie history.
That's creepy as shit. And he sells it because he's not playing the part evil. He's playing the part as this naive young guy who's like a mama's boy, but seems perfectly harmless, which was a mistake that they made in the Gus Van Sant version. Yeah. Let's have Vince Vaughn masturbate on camera and have him act like a fucking madman for 90 minutes or 45 minutes, however long he's in the movie.
No, the great thing about the performance is that he's kind of stuttery and understated.
Yeah. Like, he's stuttery and understated, but it doesn't feel like it's because he's a murderer. It feels like because
he's a fucking shut-in mama's boy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he gets nervous when his mom gets brought up, and he doesn't want to get his mom in trouble and things like that. Like, that's totally how it comes across. When they announced that this was getting re-released, I was like, oh, cool, I get to go see Psycho on the big screen again. I was kind of surprised, though, that they didn't, since this is Halloween week, I was kind of surprised that they didn't re-release Halloween.
If they had put out Halloween, I'd been there, I would have seen it 3 times.
I wonder if they re-released this on Halloween week because he's eating candy corn through the whole movie. That was seriously the thought that went in my head when it shows that that's what he's eating. I was like, oh, all right.
I think it's a good choice. It's a nice, scary movie classic. I wish it had been Halloween. I would have been right on that shit. Halloween 3. That's my dream.
Oh, yeah. Seeing Halloween 3 in the theater. Fuck yes, seeing Halloween 3 in the theater. You and I would have paid for everyone
we know to go.
Oh, Lord, yeah. That would have been like the first midnight screening review that literally had all of us in it.
Yeah, we'd all be like sitting on each other's laps and shit in this tiny
That would be
car.
A fucking mess of a video. Like, getting a word in edgewise would be like just a freaking symphony of people who don't know how to play instruments.
Look, so basically, if we all had instruments,
it would sound the same.
It'd be Sarah in the back playing an instrument, and the rest of us making noise.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like the review for Guardians of the Galaxy. Just add 3 more people. There were already 4 of us in that video.
Yeah,
I'd take fucking everybody to go see Halloween 3. Lord, yeah, that would be cool. I mean, it would be cool because I haven't seen the first one in the theater. This is my first time seeing this in the theater. I mean, of course I wasn't when it came out, but I've never been in any situation around a theater where this movie was released.
Well, it's one of those things that, like, there was a couple of those years I lived in Chicago. I lived 2 blocks away from the Music Box, and they showed old movies all the time, and I just I didn't go as often as I should have, and it kills me now that I think about it. It's like, Now, as I see more of these old movies getting released through this AMC thing, it's like, man, I really should have gone to that. Like, I really should have.
I mean, I think I've mentioned this before in one of these videos, but I honestly really love that they do this. I mean, yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's cool to reminisce about it on camera and stuff like that, and to talk about the movie.
But it's just cool to go see some of this stuff in the theater.
But seeing it in the theater, definitely, especially when you get into some of my favorites, like Saturday Night Fever, Dirty Harry. In a couple weeks they're doing Batman. But also, because I don't get a chance to rewatch a lot of movies anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I know when you and I were young and in high school, we
watch shit all the time, over and over again.
Oh, yeah. That, I don't get a chance to do that a lot anymore, because I'm, whether it's seeing a couple of movies on Thursday when we come out to the theater, or whatever I'm watching for the snob that week, or just something I'm having on in the background or whatever, I don't get a chance to rewatch a lot of stuff anymore. So I like doing this re-release thing, because I'm like, cool, I can go watch, not only can I watch Psycho again, I can see it in the theater.
I want to submit a list of movies I want them to do this
Caligula.
It's a little unlikely, but I'd be there with you, buddy. There's other shit but oh man, I would love to see Logan's Run in a theater.
I want to see Zardoz in a theater.
Zardoz. Fucking blow up.
Oh, fuck yeah. But Blow Out with Travolta.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Both of those.
Back to back, man. Oh, totally. I would love it if they... I mean, your list is way more realistic. My list is more like, man, I really wish they'd bring back Toxic Avenger.
No, that would be on my list, I think.
I can't imagine they would ever do that. But I would love it if they did. Now, this I could probably picture them doing. I would love it if they did Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, hell, we're probably going to go see this. This isn't an AMC Classics re-release, but all across the country, Saw is getting re-released. And it's getting re-released here. I'm totally going to text Brian and be like, dude, you want to go see it?
Fucking... Oh, man.
Which I know I'm laughing, but honestly, that movie will probably hold up for me just fine, because it's only 10 fucking years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really not that old. It can't have aged that bad.
I can play the movie in my head. Like, okay, let's go see that on the big screen.
Fucking did when we were 20.
Yeah, I was working at the movie theater when that came out. That was the second time I was working at the movie theater. The first time I was working at the movie theater was when Battlefield Earth came out. I had to deal with that crowd. All angry, two of them. Jesus. Did you see any of the sequels to Psycho?
Honestly, maybe 3.
3 was the one with the nun.
Yes, I did see that one, and I think I actually watched that one of those nights in high school at your dad's house after you and Buford had fallen asleep on the couch in the chair because I could never sleep.
Yeah,
I just sat up one night and watched that while you two were passed
HBO and Cinemax used to show that all the time.
Yeah, I think I watched 3 one of those nights while you two were asleep. It wasn't terrible. I sat there the whole time going, but did they really need to make a sequel to Psycho? Let alone 3
That's the thing about... That's totally the thing about the sequels to Psycho, is that you sit there and... Because when I saw the second one, I sat there like... This is a wildly unnecessary movie, but it's not a bad film at all. Like, it actually is ambitious. Like, it's not the difference between, like, Halloween and Halloween 2. And I like Halloween 2, but
I like Halloween 2 a lot.
Halloween 2 is a straight-up early 80s slasher movie.
Oh, yeah.
And Psycho 2 is not. Psycho 2 still tries doing some interesting things. There's no reason for that movie to exist.
Yeah.
But if it does exist, hey, why right on? It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
3, I kind of like 3. 4... I remember liking 4 as a kid, but picturing it in my head, I don't know how much I would like it now. I mean, maybe I would, because it's still got Anthony Perkins.
There's a lot of those movies from like when I was a kid too that now when I think back on it, be like, oh man, why did I really like Pet Sematary? You know, like what? Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead totally holds up.
No, it fucking
it does. Pumpkinhead straight up holds up, man. Lance Henriksen's son gets hit by the motorcycle, so he summons Demon Pumpkinhead for revenge from the creepy witch. That movie straight up holds up. You know why it probably doesn't hold up to you? Did you see any of the sequels?
Yes!
You did?
Yes!
Why'd you do that?
You made me!
The hell I did. I watched those alone by myself. I had to hide my shame. I had to watch it under the sheets to hide from God.
I think the first one I saw was we were probably 7 or fucking 8 years old and it was 2.
No. Because the first one that the Pumpkinhead is the first movie that I ever got on the first horror movie that I ever got on VHS. I was in 5th grade. Yeah, I had some stuff on tape before then, but like that one was like my very first horror VHS. And I think I still have it. I swear to God I still have it. But so I was showing that movie to everybody because I'm like, sweet, I got Pumpkinhead. I just heard of this movie because someone gave it to me. The girl in my class gave it to me. Brad likes horror movies. Here you go. And I went to a religious school. So then there was the religious kid in the class who was like, Brad, don't watch that. That movie looks evil. I'm like, it better be. So I get my fucking money's worth of this movie I got for free. Pumpkinhead straight up holds up, dude. What was the other movie you just mentioned?
Oh, what the fuck? It was like 30 seconds ago. Why am I drawing that?
No, I there's some stuff back then. Like I still like Pumpkinhead, but like there's some stuff back then where I'm like, like I think it was a few years ago where like me and Brian watched The Puppet Master Puppet Master.
Yes, the Puppet Master movies. They were so much fun.
As a kid, I was kind of like, hey, it's kind of cool, because I always remembered the ending. I forgot about the boring-ass 80 minutes before anything happens in that fucking movie.
Some of the Hellraiser sequels definitely don't hold up.
1 and 2, I think, hold up.
1 and 2, yeah.
3,
they're great. No. Yeah.
4 was never any good, even back then. I think, but the one I still like love even way more than fucking Puppet Master, I still stand behind Demonic Toys. Demonic Toys, because it's this Tracy Scoggins badass cop battling fucking baby Oops-a-Daisy and shit in a warehouse with an evil demon kid who's the same fucking kid from Children of the Corn 3.
I think the only reason I don't have more regrets about liking movies when I was younger was that I had Bradstreet and my brother Steven steered me towards better things. You know,
I had my parents to steer me towards better things. I just chose to watch Demonic Toys.
Well, but I mean by better things is like, I'd go to Bradstreet's and we'd go to the Laserdisc place because he was the one dude I knew who had a Laserdisc player. And we'd go and he'd like flip through something and like, we'll fucking buy it and we'll watch it. And I was like, all right, cool. And I'd like find some stupid ass movie and be like, no, we're gonna watch Big Trouble in Little China tonight.
Fuck yeah.
And it's like, okay. And it's like, and then fucking Stev would bring me the weird art movies and shit from Chicago. So it's just like, I had those two influences steering me towards shit that was better but still dumb and fun, you know?
Horror movies was really kind of me on my own. Yeah. My dad, definitely action movies. My mom, more so comedies. Art films just because we grew up in the 90s.
We had no choice. I remember the first time... Oh, God, the 90s. The early 90s, especially when it was just like...
When we had movies like Begotten.
Oh, Begotten. There's still some that from that era that are great, but but like the indie revolution, and you gotta remember that for every great one of those indie movies that came out, for every Reservoir Dogs and every Clerks and every Slackers, there was fucking Killing Zoe.
I wouldn't even say I wouldn't even say that's one of the worst examples. Like, Killing Zoe at least like has a good climax. I would say, like, for every fucking Pulp Fiction and all that, you had fucking Doom Generation.
Oh. Oh.
Or whatever fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no, but there was 5 of those movies for every good one, and it's just that the good ones were so good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it made that whole thing totally fucking worth it. Yeah.
Like, oh, dear God, and that stuff was all coming out at the same time as, like, so I was trying to weed through those kind of movies by myself, watching horror movies and James Bond shit and John Carpenter movies with you.
Yeah.
And then with, you know, God bless the man, I love him to death, and every once in a while he'd pull out a gem, but I don't know how many Scream sequels and fucking teenage comedies I sat through with fucking Buford. Oh my God.
Buford, watch Psycho, please. I really don't like this whole Scream thing.
Oh, that was, like, the first time I saw Scream, I was like, oh, that was kind of clever. Like, I get it. It's cool. And then I watched it a second time a couple years later, and I was like, oh, this is bad.
I was disappointed with that movie the first time I saw it, because the first time I saw it a couple of weeks after it came out, and everybody who went to go see it, most of the kids in my class saw it before I did, and they were like, oh my God, scariest fucking movie ever.
It's not scary. It's not scary. I thought some of it was clever, but I never thought it was scary.
Yeah, I went to go see it and was like, you're all fucking high.
Yeah.
if I want to see this much references to horror movies, I'll just talk to myself in a mirror.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I always thought it was clever, not scary. Like honestly, it's been quite a long time since I've seen a movie like I found actually scary.
Oh, I
think there's movies that have the implications of them have terrified me, but nothing that's made me jump out of my seat in a long time.
I thought, let's see, horror movies recently that I really, really liked, The Conjuring, Wolf Creek 2, I thought was badass.
But see, that I haven't seen, because you take Brian to that shit. You know?
You didn't go see any horror movies this year?
Nah, not really. I mean, we go see a movie once a fucking week. I mean,
yeah,
I don't go to the theater much on my own anymore, you know? I don't have that urge, like...
Since I've seen so many this year, it's gonna be really hard to put together a list of the worst.
Just fucking go through the list of everything I saw minus like 8 or 9 things.
Religious movie, Tyler Perry movie, religious movie. That's probably what my list is going to be like.
God, dude.
And even a Tyler Perry movie's kind of religious.
Yeah. It's...
Fuck.
It's getting to the point where, like, honestly, all I'm looking forward to in movies anymore is, like, the comic book movies that I think I'll enjoy and I know you'll have me go to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the comic book movies. Let's see, tomorrow...
I'm looking forward to Interstellar coming
up. Interstellar's next week, and tomorrow is Nightcrawler, and...
Which I think looks really good.
It looks really fucking good. And before I go to sleep, which I still haven't seen a single goddamn trailer for, but I guess I'm seeing that tomorrow. They
had a stand-up for it in there today.
It's the only thing I know about this movie, other than, like, well, Film Brain saw it, because it came out over there, I guess a while ago, or fairly recently, maybe. And I was like, how is it? And he's, because I haven't seen his video on it yet, because I haven't seen the movie. I want to see the movie first. So, at least I got Nightcrawler tomorrow. I'm looking for it. I don't know, maybe before I go to sleep will be good. I don't know. I haven't seen anything from it. You got any final thoughts about Psycho?
It's a classic, and it stands up. And, like, I kind of wish we had done this. I wish when they did these screenings, it was more than, like, 3 nights spread out over a week. I wish it was, like, they would do it for a good solid week so we could tell people to just make the effort and go to the theater and watch this in a theater. Well, not just rent Psycho and watch it, but, like, when you see one of these good older movies showing up at these types of things, go spend the money on it. It's really worth it. Even if you think, oh yeah, Batman came out 20 years ago, I can just rent that. It's gonna be different.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. And Batman, last time I saw Batman in the theater was like maybe 10 years ago, because when I worked at the radio station, we re-released it. But whatever, it's one of my favorite movies. I'm gonna go see it again.
No.
And this I've never seen in the theater before. So I mean that was cool, and also just to kind of see how things hold up. Because to tell you the truth, I probably haven't seen Psycho since maybe the last time we watched it. Maybe.
And that was probably 10 years ago.
Oh, at the least, that would have been like 10 years ago.
No, it's really cool with these older movies too. It's just like, even if you've seen it a million times, it's really cool to go and see it on the big screen and see the details, because you can see some of those fades and see where they do that opening going in through the window thing there. Like, I never realized it before, but there's a cut there, but it's so subtle that you don't see it on a TV.
Well, hell, at the end, when it fades into, like, his mother's skull, when he's smiling at the camera at the end, like, that's badass.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Like, that one shot again of him, that second time the car's going in, like, I always thought that was a cool shot. I didn't realize how amazing that shot is.
Oh, and I said the same thing earlier about the shots of the house with the clouds in the background and shit.
You see the details in the boards and the pieces that are old and
And picturing, like, if I was in an audience in 1960 when this movie came out, Jesus Christ, like, the scenes of the shower scene, the scene where Martin Balsam gets it on the staircase, would have made me shit my pants, which from what I hear, happened all over the country in 1960. And even like, touching on the fact that they straight up kill her 40 minutes into the movie is great, because that can go totally wrong if done horribly. Like, if done terribly, like...
Well, it makes you go, well, what now?
Yeah. In this, you're left with one of the greatest movie villains of all time.
Yeah.
One of the best locations in any horror film. Martin Balsam's cool in the movie. Vera Miles is good in the movie.
Yeah.
You still have a fantastic story going on here. You're not left with oh, fuck. We just killed off Cranston. I guess we gotta follow Kick-Ass for 2 hours. Oh, sorry, spoiler if you haven't seen that.
Follow Kick-Ass for 2
hours. Oh, wait.
Fucking Godzilla, yeah. No, I saw it.
Okay.
And you know what? Off topic, but I actually really enjoyed Godzilla.
I liked it.
It was everything I expected and wanted it to be.
It was not everything I wanted it to be. I
could have done with some more actual Godzilla in it, but at the same time, coming like it came out a year after Pacific Rim. Like, they went with a different direction, and I think it did them good.
Between, like, the incredibly misleading trailer for that film.
Oh, the trailer was incredibly misleading.
You know what? That's the downside of doing some of these videos when you just get out of a movie, because the last act of Godzilla is fantastic. And is great. Like, it does have a lot of, in terms of Godzilla movies, it does have a lot of cum shots in it.
Yeah, but we don't have the time to, like, sit down and process stuff fully.
Yeah.
We're going off the gut reaction and stuff. I can't even remember the fucking name of it that fucking movie that I was so excited to see, that was it last year, the Cormac McCarthy movie?
The Counselor?
The Counselor. Like, we both came out of that movie, like, a little confused, but both like...
But I was entertained.
But I was entertained.
Uh-huh.
And, just for shits and giggles, I pulled up a fucking stream of it, and I watched some more of it the other day. I want to read that book, but that was not a good movie.
I can't even... I guess I have to stand by my original review because I haven't rewatched it. And
I still think it's worth watching, especially if you like Cormac McCarthy. Like, some of it's really interesting, and I like the dialogue, but I want to read that as a book.
Yeah. Like... And you're right. Like, you kind of ride a high at a certain point when you come out, and that
a deep fucking low.
Yeah.
Like, there have been things that we've gone and seen that, in retrospect, not as great as I thought they were, or not even as bad as I thought they were, you know? There are things that I fully stand by, in my opinion, like fucking Man of Steel. Fuck that piece of shit.
Yeah. I still stand behind liking Prometheus.
Me too. I've watched Prometheus again, and I think I liked it a lot more watching it the second time.
I'll have to honestly rewatch that sometime, maybe. I kind of do, because I haven't seen it since it was in theaters.
Everything I liked about it holds up, and every plot hole that people bitched about in watching it a second time, I can completely disregard, because everything with half, like, it's the same thing we said in the review. I don't need somebody to hold my hand through a fucking movie. If the dots are there, I can connect them. And that's like, there's things about that movie that could have been done a whole lot better, but I have no major problems with it.
Not to where I'd give it a negative review, but I mean, I'm just going by when we first saw it, and in the case of Godzilla, we were riding that high of the last act of the movie, which is pretty solid, and then I get home, and I actually kind of remembered how frustrated I was in the first hour of that movie.
And sometimes that's what I like in a movie, and especially in a theater. I like it to get me wound up in the first act. I like
a slow burn is one thing. That's one thing, because I like a slow burn. But when a lot of stuff is happening that is annoying, and I don't think that they're intending it to be annoying, or they do stuff that's wrong, like, that can be like, oh fuck, man, this isn't as good as I thought it would be.
But rolling, and you're like, yes, this was great.
Then then a solid last act will make you leave the theater and be like, fuck, man, I got a hard on. What can I say?
Yeah.
And then you'll go home and be like, that moment after you masturbate when you're like, well, I really shouldn't have fucked this thing.
Oh man.
I don't know if I got anything else about Psycho. I think we've really touched on everything. About this and every movie.
Everything else, yeah.
We've gone from Psycho to 90s indie filmmaking.
Then we rambled about Godzilla and Prometheus for a while.
That happens. You just knew Man of Steel was going to pop out.
At the end, you talked about beating off.
Oh, well, that happens every week. If Jake were here...
Every week?
Oh, yeah.
Only once a week?
No, me talking about it happens once a week.
Like, man, I feel dirty now.
Oh, no, you can't get beat off like twice in that movie.
Okay, cool. That's just...
Janet Leigh is half naked.
Yeah.
And she's fully naked in one scene. Whatever, she's getting killed. You just gotta block that part out.
It's just more holes.
You watch the Gus Van Sant one, there's an extra hole in the shot. Should we leave it on Anne Heche's ass?
I feel dirty now.
Well, let's go clean up. We'll leave it on Anne Heche's ass. Bye.